Today we are checking out this Tracki GPS tracker. I'm going to tell you everything that you're going to need to know about this, and you might learn a lesson or two about GPS trackers versus Bluetooth trackers. So without further ado, let's jump into the video. First off, I want to thank Tracki for sending this out to me for full honest review, but this is not sponsored in any other way. First off, let's talk about what a GPS tracker is, what a Bluetooth tracker is, and different types of GPS trackers that are out there on the market. Now, if you already know, I'll put a timestamp if you just want to learn about this one, so you can jump to that timestamp and jump ahead. But for those who are sticking around, Tracki is a GPS tracker with cellular technology, meaning that it will communicate its location via cell phone towers. And it also has a Wi-Fi GPS location, which is actually one of my cons of this device, which I'll talk more about later. But basically, this has its own communication, unlike a Bluetooth tracker like this Chipolo or a AirTag or a Samsung SmartTag 2. These are all Bluetooth trackers, meaning that these only communicate via Bluetooth. So these Bluetooth trackers do not have GPS built in, they only have Bluetooth, meaning that it has to connect to someone's phone, like an AirTag, or connect to iPhones, iPad, and other Apple devices via Bluetooth, and then it will use that GPS location of that device and communicate via that device where it last connected. But understand, with Bluetooth trackers, if there's no other device around to communicate, it will not update its location if it happens to move. Where a GPS tracker with cellular technology will communicate its location via cell phone towers like T-Mobile and AT&T towers. I think that's who Tracki uses. So even if phones are not around, users are not around, it will automatically update depending on your setting. And I hope this all makes sense to you. I'm just a consumer like you. I'm not in the GPS industry or Bluetooth industry designing any of these, so I'm just telling you in layman terms what these are and what they can do, and hopefully you guys understand. But if you do have specific questions, I'm always down in the comments, so definitely hit me up. I'll definitely answer those as I can. Now, they also have GPS loggers. I'm not quite sure if that's the technical term, but they just log the GPS location as it's moving around, but does not communicate until it gets to the place that either has Wi-Fi that's pre-set up, or someone hardwires to it to download that information. So all that has to be preset. Maybe you can save a little bit money, because when you have cellular technology, you have to pay for that connection. So a GPS logger, which, like I said, I don't know if that's the technical term of it, will only record the locations, and then once it gets to, say, your house or something where it connects to your Wi-Fi, where you have it automatically set up, it would download that information. You can watch where that GPS tracker has been. Where a GPS tracker with cellular communication can update via cell phone towers, depending on your settings and how often you want it to. Obviously, the more often it communicates, it's going to be more expensive service and also lower battery life, which I'll talk about the Tracki specifically later in this video. There's also some trackers that might have GPS that communicate via radio frequency or long distance frequency, that might have a couple mile range. But usually, if you want to have GPS location worldwide or nationwide, you're going to want a GPS tracker with cellular communication, as long as you have that cell phone tower of service like AT&T or T-Mobile in the area, so it can communicate. But just remember, both of these types of trackers, just because it's called a tracker doesn't mean that it's for stolen items. Both of these can be easily found on any type of asset. And when I'm talking about asset in this video, I'm talking about whatever you place this on, or inside, or hide. It could be a car, it could be child. You just want to make sure it's legal. You cannot track someone illegally without their knowledge. It could be a personal good. Like a lot of people use Bluetooth trackers on their keys and many other items that you misplace all the time, like wallets. And they come in a bunch of different designs, shapes, and colors, which you can definitely watch all my Bluetooth trackers on this channel. I've reviewed pretty much every major one that's been released thus far. And definitely there are some good ones and some bad ones, depending on your use case and personal preference of features. And Bluetooth trackers are dirt cheap. Most of these are around $25, $30. And also a lot of new GPS trackers, they offer a very even more affordable upfront price, but where they get you is in the monthly or yearly service charge, because you have to have that cell phone connection. Without it, this thing is pretty much just a little tiny paperweight. So definitely factor that in. So even though these might be cheaper up front, for instance, Tracki costs less than how many fingers I have on my hands. But where they get you is in that monthly and yearly fee. So definitely factor that into your decision if you want a Bluetooth tracker or a GPS tracker. Should be this way around, but you know what I'm talking about. And most Bluetooth trackers are going to be smaller than GPS trackers with cellular communication. And Tracki is actually one of the smallest, if not the smallest, GPS tracker that I've ever tested. However, it is important to keep in mind the battery life of a GPS tracker that is usually a couple days, depending on how often it has to update or you choose for it to update. Like if you do updates every minute, it's only going to last a few days. But if you only update once per day, then it might last a month or so. Or I'll talk more about the specifics about Tracki individually in just a little bit. Where most Bluetooth trackers will last at least a year. Some are a little bit less, some are a little bit more. Some have replaceable batteries, some you have to recycle and get a new one when it happens to die. And then there's some that are rechargeable either with a proprietary wire or with a Qi charger. So that is basically the difference between a GPS tracker and a Bluetooth tracker. But like I said earlier, if you need some assistance on which one to pick for whatever asset that you might be wanting to track, definitely let me know down in the comments, and also hit that subscribe button because I review these things all the time, make different suggestions, and I'll be glad to help you point you in the right direction to get the right one for you. So now with all that out of the way, let's talk about this bad boy, the Tracki GPS tracker with cellular communication. I gotta admit, I love the design. I love the size of this. It's super small. The downside to the size of this is its battery life. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the best battery life depending on what setting you have it on. Most people who want a GPS tracker want it to be updated more often. I would not go more than 1 minute updates simply because the battery life is going to be terrible. In my testing, when I had it on 1 minute intervals, I got a little over 1.5 days. If I put it on a longer setting, like a 5 or 10, I think it was a 10 or 15 minute interval, I definitely got more days. And they also have a bunch of other settings depending on how often you really want to get an update and how long you want that battery to last. Now, something to keep in mind that this does run, I believe it's on AT&T network. I think it might also run on T-Mobile. It's all paid through the Tracki app. So hopefully you have that service within your area where you want this to be, which is most of the United States, but this also works worldwide. But I'm not quite sure what companies and towers those work with. But I'll definitely leave a link down below where you can check out the service area where this thing will work and function properly. And because of the size, this thing can be put almost anywhere. If you want to put this or hide this in on a bike, because it's so small, it's a lot easier. But keep in mind that you will have to charge up the battery, so you want to put it in a place where you can remove it and charge it up when need be. If you're going to be putting this into something like a car or a motorcycle, they actually sell accessories that we can hardwire this into those electrical systems and keep it charged up. Now, if you want to track something a little bit smaller, maybe like a keys or something, they do have a little hole right here we can put some type of like lanyard. It comes with a little lanyard, by the way. It's not ideal for personal keys, more of a Bluetooth tracker would be for keys, but if you really have to have those keys, you can definitely use something like this. They also sell little lanyards online. I'll link those down below. I have a few of those. And what's nice that this does have a little beeping. It's not very loud at all, but you can go into the app and make it ring just like a Bluetooth tracker. So if you misplace it in your car or in your house, you can ring it, and if you can hear it, you can find it a lot easier in your house. But understand, GPS trackers are just going to kind of narrow down the location to about 30 to 60 feet. So it's not really going to tell you where in the house it's going to be. It's just going to say it's in the house. So understand that sound, ringing it is the best way to find it, like a Bluetooth tracker, but also understand that it's not very loud. And also, when you does need to be charged up, you can buy additional batteries. They have a larger battery pack and waterproof case that has a magnet on the back, which also comes with a magnet and also a clip. So there's all these different backings that you can use depending on where you're going to put this GPS tracker. Here's the magnet one. This all comes with the tracker itself, so you don't have to buy this. If you want the larger battery pack and the waterproof case, this you have to buy separately, but just the backing you do not. Also comes with this little neoprene sleeve to help keep it water resistant. There's also a little hole right here that you can put another lanyard, another way that you can attach this to your asset if you want to use something like this. Some people might want to put this on their pets. I do not recommend GPS trackers like this for pets. I would say get a pet GPS tracker that are designed specifically for pets. I'll leave my favorite one down below where I actually reviewed it, and also a link to it. You could use this, but to understand that it's not designed for pets. And I think the ones for pets are a lot better. Battery life is better because it's staying in the house. It knows when the pet is in the house, and you're just going to get better result out of those pet GPS trackers than any old GPS tracker with cellular communication. Also on front, there are 3 little buttons, and you can pre-program these what to do. The left and right ones, you can send certain text messages or notifications. Maybe, if you give this to your kid, you can mark one of them, hey, I'm running late, or call me, or something like that. When they press this, to call them, or maybe come pick them up. There's so many different scenarios that you can mark these 2 buttons for different notifications. And then the one in the middle is your SOS. So maybe if you're in the middle of woods, you're going for a hike, it'd be great to bring a GPS tracker just in case you get lost. And if you need help, you just press that little SS button. It will go out to your preset contact. They'll get your GPS location, and they'll be able to help you. Now, one little thing I do have a minor con with is the charging port is micro USB still. I know it's 2024. These should have been updated a number of years ago. So seeing a micro USB is really disappointing. It is what it is. It comes with the right wires. The hardwire kit for your car has a micro USB. So it's the proper one to charge this up. I just would have liked to see a USB-C wire in products that are being sold today. Which, by the way, if you do get the extra battery pack and the waterproof case, this is USB-C, and I think this triples your battery life. This is 3,500 milliamp hours, where this one is only 300 milliamp hours. So that's quite significant of battery life, but also when you put this all together, this will definitely increase the size quite significantly. They also offer a Tracki Pro. This thing is a beast. This thing's a tank. Look how large this is. Battery life on this is 10,000 milliamp hours. So if you have a larger asset that you want to slap this onto that doesn't have its own power source, With that 10,000 milliamp hour battery, you're definitely going to get the most bang for your buck and a lot less often that you have to charge this up. And when it came to actual tracking and using the app is not the most user friendly, but once you figure out what all the little symbols mean, you can really see that this thing does a lot. Now you're going to get those updates depending on that predetermined setting that you have, and obviously the battery life is going to be shorter the more often it has to update, so definitely keep that in mind. But when you're in the app, you can see the history. I think it can go back 5 years of tracking it, so if you get updates every minute, you got 5 years of history inside that app. And I've been using this particular one for about 2 months now, and I traveled out west, and you can see here, I'm not going to zoom in here because it's private, but you can see I traveled out west and it tracked me everywhere I went every minute. And this thing was pretty accurate when it came to GPS location when I went into the app to see where it was. And I wasn't even always with this, you know, I was in different locations and this thing still gave me its location, which is awesome, exactly what I need with a GPS tracker like this. But unfortunately, like most products, there's always some minor cons, and I do have one minor con with this. Well, the plug is one minor, so this would be a second minor con, and that is that this sometimes will register on a Wi-Fi GPS. So every public Wi-Fi has a GPS location, and if this connects to one of those public Wi-Fis, it will actually mark that location rather than the actual satellite location. So the location that you can see in the app can actually be off from like 300 to 600 feet, which is quite significant. Where if this was a satellite GPS location, it's about 30 to 60 feet. So I noticed sometimes when it locked in onto a public Wi-Fi, it was quite far off. And there was no way to force it to always be on the satellite. So just keep that in mind. If there's public Wi-Fi's around, it's probably going to connect to those public Wi-Fi's and get the GPS location of those public Wi-Fi's rather than trying to connect to satellites. So the actual pinpoint is not going to be as spot on if you had, you know, GPS satellites. I hope that all makes sense. It's not a big issue because it will still put you in the general location, put you within, you know, feet of your assets. So you're going to be in that location where you can definitely find your assets even if it has Wi-Fi GPS. So all in all, I love the size of this. It is definitely a very usable and accurate GPS locator. It's not perfect. I wish the battery life was longer. I wish the monthly and yearly fee was cheaper, but unfortunately there is a service that you do have to pay, and you do have to keep that in mind. Even though the upfront cost is extremely cheap, I don't even know how they can put this out for that amount of money with all the accessories and the battery. I have no clue how they're doing that, probably because so many people are keeping these and they love it, so they're paying that monthly fee. So all in all, I absolutely love this. This is actually my go-to GPS tracker with cellular communication, except for pets. Like I have 2 dogs. I have the pet GPS tracker specifically for them. I just would not use this on pets, but any other assets I definitely would use this for. So all in all, I give this a 2 thumbs up. I love this GPS tracker. Definitely one of my favorites, if not my favorite. And I'll leave affiliate links down below where you can get more information and pricing. And if you want to buy it, definitely helps out the channel. But what helps out the most is hit that subscribe button so you get updates on these types of products. If you're interested in the latest and greatest trackable technology, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate all the love and support. Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys on the next one.